All right, so to get into a discussion about what the five themes of geography actually are, let's first take a look and see what geo means, and that actually means having to do with the Earth. So if you see GEO somewhere in a word, usually at the beginning, we're talking about the Earth in some way. So the way we most often see it this year is going to be when we talk about geology, which is studying rocks and how the Earth was formed, and sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks and volcanic rocks, which are called igneous rocks, and that kind of tells the story of how the Earth was formed. You have geometry, which is a math term, which is usually like studying shapes and stuff like that, circles and squares and rectangles and rhombuses or rhombi or whatever the plural of a rhombus is. My personal favorite, a trapezoid. But geometry actually gets its name because it's the study of measuring the earth. That's how geometry started. It was finding angles and measuring the distances between things. That's where geometry comes from. And then geography is the study of where things can be found, and we're actually going to get into a better definition and discussion of it in just a second. So, geography, if we're looking it up in a dictionary, you might get a definition that looks like this, and this comes from Merriam-Webster, which is probably the most famous dictionary company in the world. They've been making dictionaries for hundreds of years, and they define geography as an area of study that deals with the location of countries, cities, rivers, mountains, lakes, etc., or the natural features such as rivers, mountains, etc., of a place. They say that's a simple definition of geography, and I agree with them because I don't think it really goes far enough. If we look at dictionary.com, they define it a little bit differently, a little more complicated, in a little more complicated way, but I think a much better definition. They say it's the science of dealing with a real differentiation of the Earth's surface as shown in the character, arrangement, and interrelations over the world of such elements such as climate, elevation, soil, vegetation, population, land use, industries, or states, and of the unit of areas formed by the complex of these individual elements. What does that all mean? Basically, what that means is it's studying where things are located, but it is also studying where things are growing, what soil looks like in different parts of the world, what people are doing in different parts of the world, how they got there, what they're building, how they're using the land, what industries they have. It's a much, I think, better definition of geography because it really gets to the heart of what we're going to study this year. So the five themes of geography we're going to take a look at are location, place, human environment interaction, movement, and region. Location is quite simply where a place is on the earth, where we can find a place. Place deals with the physical and human characteristics of a place. So we're looking at an area and seeing what natural features are there, what things are there that have been built by humans, what kind of buildings and that sort of thing. Human environment interaction studies the way people and the environment affect each other. How do people affect the environment around them? How does the environment affect the people that live there? The fourth one is movement, which is the way people, goods, and ideas travel from place to place, whether it's walking someplace, riding your bike, driving a car, taking a jumbo jet, or if it's sending ideas. Are we mailing letters? Are we writing newspapers? Are we creating websites? Are we texting people, tweeting, all sorts of different things, Instagram, whatever it is? That's all part of movement. And then finally, regions. These are areas of the world that have common physical, human, or cultural characteristics. In some cases, mixtures of all three of those and a whole bunch of other things as well. And there'll be an individual video, an individual episode for each of those, which I'll get to in just a moment. So why do we have five themes of geography? What's the point of dividing things? Well, if we look at a place, in this case, Philadelphia, in colonial times back in the 1770s, we can see and get a pretty good idea of how the people were using that land. They had built themselves a city. There were still some trees there, but the buildings were 3 or 4 stories high. The population was relatively high for that time period. That same area, though, has undergone quite a bit of change. All right, that building is the same. Independence Hall is the same. That's where the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were both signed. But if you look behind Independence Hall, there's skyscrapers. And if you looked all around Independence Hall, there's all sorts of tall buildings and paved roads and bridges and cars driving all over the place. So Philadelphia has changed quite a bit. By using the 5 themes of geography, we can figure out exactly how, by taking a look at its location, taking a look at the characteristics of that place, how people move around in that place, how they get from Philadelphia to other places, what region Philadelphia is located in, and again, what people have done to the environment around them in Philadelphia. Another example of, we can see how people are using the land. It's a very small town, some small little buildings. You'll see mountains in the background, dirt roads, all that. And it looks quite a bit different now. This is actually San Francisco. That's the same exact neighborhood in present day San Francisco. So again, it helps us understand how these things change. So these are the other episodes. This is episode 1, just the introduction to the 5 themes of geography. Episode 2 is called Location, Location, Location. And that's about, well, location. Episode 3 is called Natural and Human Construction, and that's all about place, the geographic theme of place. Episode 4, the environment. Friend or foe? Is it helping us? Is it hurting us? Are we helping it? Are we hurting it? Spoiler alert, we're hurting it more than we're helping it, but that's okay. Episode 5 is all about movement. It's called Moving Out. And then episode 6 is called Division, but not Math, and that's talking about regions. So make sure to check all those out. And we'll get into some more detail about these 5 themes of geography, which we're really going to use all year.